the apple. It is a thing of beauty. But it brings up so many questions, doesn't it? Questions about the apple. Hi, friends. Are you wondering about apples? I know I am. I mean, it's fall. There's a crisp chill in the air. The leaves are starting to fall. And we're starting to think about apples and pumpkins. And, well, I'm starting to think about apples anyway. Apples are fascinating little fruits. And they bring up so many questions, don't they? But what is a question exactly? A question is something that a scientist always starts with. A question is something that a scientist always asks. It's the beginning of science. So let's think about a question. Questions can be asked by just about anybody. But what is a question? A question means that you're asking something. You want to know something. You're wondering something. Like, I want to know, why is the sky blue? Or how many stars are there in the sky? That's a question. Now, if I tell you that one time my cat was she was running and she ran right into the wall and oh my goodness, is that a question? No, that is not a question. That would be me telling you a story, but it is not a question. So let's do some sorting here. I have some papers with questions and statements on them. A statement is something I'm just telling you, like the sky is blue or the grass is green. That's a statement. A question is something that I'm asking you or something I'm wondering. Why do fish have to stay in the water? That's a question. All right, so let's read this one. The apple is red. Is that a statement or is that a question? Am I telling you something or am I wondering something? Yes, I'm telling you something, right? The apple is red. I'm telling you. So that would be a statement. I'm going to put that right here. That's a statement. How about this one? Does the apple float? Am I wondering something on this one or am I telling you something? Does the apple float? Yeah, I'm wondering. Does an apple float? I'm wondering something. So this is a question. I'm going to put it on this side. Well, how about this one? How many seeds are inside? Is that something I'm wondering or something I'm telling you? Yeah, I'm really wondering how many seeds are inside that apple. I told you there were a lot of questions about apples. We're going to put that over by the questions. How about this one? It is round. Am I wondering something? No, I'm telling you. It is round. As in the apple. It's round, right? I'm telling you it's round. That's not a question. That's a statement. So we're going to put it on this side. How about this one? The stem is hard. Is that a question or a statement? Well, I'm not wondering anything, am I? I'm telling you, the stem is hard. It is. So that is a statement. I'll put it over here. How about this one? What color is the apple? Am I wondering something or telling you something? Yes, I'm wondering, what color is this apple? It's kind of hard to tell. It's a lot of colors. So I'm asking a question. Let's look at all these questions over here. Do you notice something about the end of each of these questions? Yes, they each end with a question mark. Question mark is how we tell readers when we write something that we're asking a question, that we want to know something, that we're wondering something. Now, when scientists ask a question, then they have to try and figure out, well, what's the answer? And they do that with a process. So let's take our question. Does the apple float? So we started with our question, does the apple float? And then they think about that, and they think about what they know about apples, and they think about what they know about water and floating, and they think of a hypothesis. A hypothesis is kind of like a guess, but it's not really just taking any old guess. It's thinking about what you know and making an educated guess. So, well, I know about apples, and I know about water, and I know about things that float and sink. And, I've noticed that things with air in them, like in the pool, like beach balls and stuff, that stuff floats. But apples don't have any air in them. So I would think that an apple would sink because it isn't full of air like a ball or like those blow-up toys that you put in the pool. So I would think that an apple would sink. So that's going to be my hypothesis as a scientist. I'm going to say, I think it will sink. I'm going to put that right here. So I've asked a question. I've said my hypothesis. I think it's going to sink. And now I have to test it. How do I test it? Not with Katie. I have to test my hypothesis by trying it out. So what would I need to test my hypothesis? How do I find out if an apple floats? Well, I kind of need some water, right? And an apple. What are you doing, Katie? That is very helpful. Okay. Well, guess what? I just so happen to have some water right here. So let's look down here at my water. I have a dish of water and I have an apple. So what do I do to find out if the apple floats? Well, I'm not going to find out if the apple floats by leaving it on the table. I have to put it in the water, right? So I'm going to drop it in very gently because I don't want it to splash all over the place, and I'm going to see what happens. Oh, well, that was a surprise. It looked like it was going down at first. I thought it was going to sink, but look, it's still floating. Look at that. It's still at the top. And when I push it, it comes back up again. Oh my goodness. It's bouncing in the water like a ball in the pool. I cannot get it to stay down. It keeps coming up. So my hypothesis, what I thought was going to happen, well, I was wrong. Oh my goodness, that was a surprise. And sometimes that happens in science. Scientists will say, this is what I think is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and then they're surprised. And that's pretty cool, right? It's kind of fun to have a surprise. So I'm going to write down that I tested my hypothesis. I put it in the water, and it floated. There we go. I put it in the water. It floated. So now what conclusion can I make? What can I say about apples? Can I answer my question? Does the apple float? Do I think that all apples float? Well, I tested this one, and it floated. And I don't have any reason to think that any other apple would do something different. So I'm going to say that my conclusion is apples can float. There, like that. Now, how could I find out if all apples float? Well, I can't go around the whole world testing every single apple, could I? No, that would be kind of silly. But could I test more apples? Absolutely. I could say, do all apples float? And then I could say, well, I think so. And I could test more apples. Maybe not every apple, but I could test a lot of apples. And then I could make a conclusion from my test. That's what scientists do. They ask a question, they make a hypothesis, they test it, they make a conclusion, and then that conclusion leads them to more questions. Well, what might happen if I used a green pepper instead of an apple? Do those float too? I don't know. Maybe I should try it. So this is the scientific process. Isn't this cool? But it always starts with a question. It always starts with a, I wonder. I want to know about something. So if you have questions in your head, you're starting to be a scientist. You're starting to think, I wonder. And then you can find out more to test your hypothesis and find out if your question can be answered. That's pretty cool, isn't it? It's great to be a scientist.